My place in Canadian history started in the mid-19th century. The Great Famine was a period of mass starvation, disease, and death between 1845 and 1852. It is also known, mostly outside of Ireland, as the Irish Potato Famine. The Irish population had exploded in the first half of the 19th century, reaching about 8.5 million people by 1845. The peasants were almost totally dependent on the potato as a source of food because this crop produced more food per acre than wheat and also could be sold as a source of income. Because of the widespread practice of conacre, the peasants needed to produce the biggest crop possible, and so the type of potato most favored was the Erin Banner, a large variety. Unfortunately, this particular strain was highly susceptible to the fungus Photora infestans, commonly known as blight, which spread from North America to Europe. The blight destroyed the potato crop of 1845, and by early autumn of that year, it was clear that famine was imminent in Ireland. Soon after, my great-great-grandparents immigrated to Canada to escape the famine. They had heard news of the Canadian booming economy and the plentiful crop. When my great-great-grandparents arrived to Canada on their ships, they were put under quarantine in quarantine stations on the St. Lawrence River right away because of the disease outbreak in Ireland. All the Irish immigrants were required to go through a quarantine station, which could have taken weeks, even months to get through. Even after the Irish immigrants were cleared, they were shunned by the other Canadians. Once the 20th century started, people had long forgotten about the disease. The Roaring Twenties was a very good time for my family. The large economic boom exploded the economy. There were many new inventions in the 1920s that my family bought. My family bought a new radio, a new automobile, and even amazing new bubblegum on the occasion. Everything was going great for my family, until October 29th, 1929, the day that the Great Depression started. On that day, my family lost a large part of the money they had. That day started a long, dark time for my family. There were high unemployment rates and huge income cuts. My family persevered through the unemployment, low income, and poverty-filled 1930s. After surviving through the Great Depression, my grandfather was sent away from my grandmother to help with World War II. He left his wife, one son, and one daughter home when he left for war. My grandfather worked on a Navy vessel, and the ship he was on participated in D-Day. He was overseas from 1939 until June 6, 1944, when he was honorably discharged due to injuries obtained during D-Day. When men from the war started coming home, there was a huge population boost, or the baby boom. The baby boom was when all men came back from the war to their wives and had multiple children in a minimal amount of time. When my grandfather came back from the war, he and my grandmother had my aunt and then my mom. My mom is part of the baby boom. My mom and my dad had my sister, then 2 years later, my twin brother and me. After generations of my family living in Canada and making their places in Canadian history, I make my own place in Canadian history.